Hey, it is Mitchell, and here's as if Nikon is kind of copying Sony. Before we jump into this video is brought to you guys by Backblaze. If you are a photo or video creator and you are not backing up all of your photos and video in at least 2 places, Backblaze is a great option. $50 a year, you can back up all of your physical hard drives. I recently lost 4 terabytes of photo and video from my time here in Southeast Asia. If I'd been paying for Backblaze, wouldn't have happened. Okay, so like I started this video off with, it seems as if Nikon is copying Sony. And the reason I'm coming to this conclusion is that Sony uses the same body for their A7 line of cameras, and there's a lot of shared componentry and shared body parts with the Sony A9. Sony does this to lower their manufacturing costs so they can bring more tech and more features inside their camera. With Nikon and Canon, they have to engineer and do R&D on each camera body that they bring out individually. That raises production costs, and so they are less likely to put in tons of tech and different features into their camera bodies. Now we have some leaked images from Australian photography, from Nikita, and from Nikon Rumors, and I got to go ahead and thank my YouTube family for putting me onto this and giving me a heads up on these new images. We're gonna start at the front of the camera. For the Z6 and Z7, it looks like this is just a normal full frame 35mm FX format sensor. In the camera bodies, some people were saying that we might have different aspect ratios for the sensor. I doubt that's gonna happen. We have 2 customizable function 1 and function 2 buttons on the front of the body, which I absolutely love those buttons. I've always used them, even back in the Olympus days when I had my EM1, and I love the placement of the I love the placement of the lens release on the left-hand side of the body. I hate where it is on Sony's. I'll get that out of the way. Along with that, we have a front command dial, and we have the infrared receiver for the remote. Looking at the top of the camera body, we have what Ken referred to as a douche dial, but to be honest with you guys, I love having the option of being able to put my camera in auto mode and give it to a family member or a friend and say, hey, just snap this picture of me, and counting on the intelligence of the camera to go ahead and do that. We have 3 user customizable command modes on that front dial. It is a locking dial. We have the normal PASM modes on the camera. We have a very prominent knurled diopter on the top of the camera, and then we have what looks to be an e-ink or a top panel LCD, very similar to the GFX50 and the XH1. And we have an unmarked user potentially programmable rear command dial. Now, some people are saying this isn't a rear command dial. Some people are saying it is a user customizable command dial. I don't know why it wouldn't be a command dial just because it's not in the same shape as the front command dial. I could see this being something that's user customizable, but for lack of a better term, let's just call it a command dial. And ironically enough, it has a lot of similarities to the Sony rear command dial, at least on the A6000. Now, coming over to the back of the camera, we have an articulating screen. It's not going to be a full flip-out screen like we have on the Canon 6D Mark II. We have Nikon's normal placement for the image review as well as trash can buttons. We have a selector mode for photo or video. And I find it interesting that Nikon would put a toggle, right, on the back of it for photo and video. I found this a lot more useful when I was using a DSLR to have the option to switch between photo and video. The fact that this is an option on the rear of the camera leads me to believe that Nikon could be bringing a lot more video-centric features to these bodies, because if it was just a normal hybrid camera, we wouldn't need that command mode or that switch on the back to flip the mirror up and out of the way. So this gives me hope to having more video-centric features on these bodies. We have an AF on button in the typical Nikon placement. We have a rear thumb, kind of, I guess you could say, not thumb pad, but the thumb control for the autofocus points, which I like. We have the I button in the same place. I really hope that this I button is user programmable. I never use the information button on my D750 or my D7000 or my D200 or the D70S when I shot Nikon. And having the extra level of customizability would be great. We have a thumb pad, which is a little bit odd because the joystick, that's the word I was looking for, the joystick as well as the thumb pad kind of serve the same purpose. So I wouldn't be surprised if the thumb pad on the back is user programmable, and if it wasn't user programmable, I really think that Nikon would be doing a bit of a disservice, simply because one of the areas that I said that Nikon could really hit this out of the park was with superior ergonomics to Sony. On below the thumb pad, we have the magnification and the menu button. Ken, the angry photographer, was saying that the menu button had shitty placement, but I'm hoping that the reason why Nikon placed the menu button where they did was so that users don't have to use it very often, right? If Nikon has superior ergonomics and if I can keep the camera up to my eye, change modes, and manipulate all of the functions with the camera that I need to without diving into a menu, then I think that it would really be a selling point over Sony. Below that, we have the mode dial for the drive speed. I know some people might be disappointed that it's not a sub command dial. When I shot Nikon, I was never changing drive speed with my eye up to the viewfinder using that command dial, right? I shot Nikon for most of my life. And obviously I ventured into using Olympus and now I shoot Sony, but I've never been able to hold the camera up to my eye, manipulate that command dial without needing to take it away. Having the option to have that as a button so that I can continue to look through the electronic viewfinder and manipulate my drive modes, at least to me, is more appealing. Okay, enough on the back of the camera. The last thing I would like to draw people's attention to is that the rear thumb rest is segmented. Now, whether or not this means that the SD cards are hiding underneath, I'm not sure. I doubt it, simply because there's going to be a lot more stress where your thumb would be resting. So it's more likely for us to see the portion of the right side of the grip open up that's next to the menu and the drive mode buttons. And I had another image over here, and that is showing the left side of the camera. Now, this is something that I am super excited about because we have a headphone jack, which not all Sonys have headphone jacks. Just want to point that out. We have a headphone jack, and also not all Fujis have headphone jacks either. We have a headphone jack. We have a microphone in. We have USB, and we have HDMI along with the remote control button. And this is something that I'm really interested in because the amount of size that we have on the left side of the camera is not enough to have the conventional USB 3.0 port, like the fat size USB-A 3.0 port. I'm not sure what the exact name of it is. and a full-size HDMI out. So I'm really hoping that Nikon gives us USB Type-C as well as a full-size HDMI port, and that would open up a realm of possibilities for things like 10-bit uncompressed HDMI out possibly, or external recording to a USB Type-C drive. Whether or not Nikon's gonna bring this, I don't know, but it's something that I can dream about. We also have pictures of the leaked 24-70 f4, and I'm not sure what the construction of it is. It looks to be like a brushed metal, like what Nikon's used on their previous lenses. If it is plastic, I'm gonna be a little bit disappointed, because at least to me, where I see Nikon being able to really delineate itself from the competition is bringing kind of a rugged mirrorless camera to the market, right? Which I feel like is a possibility, being that Nikon had those press videos showing the ruggedness and construction of the D850. Now, on Tech Radar, we have a picture of the upcoming Nikon mirrorless adapter, and it looks like it's going to be called the FTZ or F to Z adapter with the electrical contact points. And it also looks as if you will be able to screw a tripod mount into the bottom of that adapter. So I'm interested to see what that could be. Overall, I think that Nikon copying Sony and using one style of body to go ahead and lower production and manufacturing costs could really give Nikon a lot more freedom to go ahead and give us some really, really good video features and really good internals. Also on the Tech Radar website, we have leaked images of the 35mm 1.8S. I'm not quite sure what this S designation would be. We also have images of the side of the 24-70, and again, we have Nikkor S. So it looks like Nikon's going to be releasing a new line of lenses with the Z mount called the S lenses. We also have the 50mm 1.8S, and at least upon launch, it's going to be interesting what level of weather sealing and what level of, I guess, ruggedness we're going to have out of these S designated lenses. It'd be nice if this S stood for small. It looks like we have a rubber gasket on the rear of the lens, and I'm really excited about this, guys. I don't see myself switching back to Nikon unless Nikon really hits it out of the park with video features, because now I predominantly shoot video. But I will say that along with all of this full frame mirrorless goodness, I am going to be doing a live stream tomorrow to talk about how I feel about it. And as someone who has switched away from Nikon, who currently doesn't shoot Nikon, I wonder if Nikon is going to be offering enough features and enough stuff with this new line of mirrorless cameras to get people like me, who predominantly shoot video, back to the Nikon brand. Okay, like I mentioned before, I'm doing a live stream tomorrow for the launch of these new mirrorless cameras. And till next time, it's been Mitchell coming to you from Lang Son, Vietnam, about 20 kilometers south of China. I'm out.